Hello and welcome to BloombergQuint. Well, it has been a good day of trade when it comes to the bulls and the benchmark indices, starting off with the Nifty, which has gained to a certain extent, closing just shy of the record high. As you can see here from an intraday graph, we have seen a little bit of gyration. However, this has been largely range bound and eventually closing just short of the 9,360 mark. We have seen a gain of as much as 48 points nearly. On the whole, it's looking like we are reaching back to the record levels, and once again we will have to keep an eye on the kind of volumes that will be provided for in the coming few days. But let's take a look and let's check as to where we're looking at the markets heading moving forward. And for that, we are in conversation with Mr. Hemen Kapadia. He is from the research of KR Choksey. Thank you for joining us, Hemen.
Thank you.
Hemen, my first question will have to be with the benchmarks and the Nifty specifically. We have seen it close just shy of 9,360. Where are you viewing this going forward?
Thank you for having me, Agam. I think 9367 was the earlier Nifty high. We've been in this range roughly between 8976, which was a gap of the UP elections.
Right.
And here, we've never tested that again. It's still unfulfilled. So we've been roughly in this 300-350 point range. And now, Agam, actually it was 9264. We went above that. Now it's 93. So we're on the verge of breaking out from this range.
Right.
Though it's historic levels, I have a feeling if we take out 9367 and sustain, which looks like we have the momentum, I guess we are heading towards 9600 odd.
Okay. And my next question would have to be to do with the Nifty Bank Index. We have seen a surge in ICICI and Axis Bank, which has also driven the index upwards. Where are you viewing the levels there?
Historic levels, Agam, there's nothing left in terms of history. I mean, we are at all-time highs. So I think as long as they remain above this 20,000, I know that's far away, but as long as they remain above the 20,800, 21,000, things are fine. But it's high beta. It outperforms or underperforms. It's leading the market. ICICI has been playing catch up now. It was a laggard.
Right.
I think it's time for Axis to move. I think Axis could move quite well. And the PSU Bank, there's a NSE PSU Bank Index, Agam,
yes,
which still looks good. And despite the helter-skelter run in the last few days, if you look at the monthly chart, Agam, there is still headroom left.
Okay. Well, so based on that, I'm going to go down to the options data and what that's suggesting right now, what's happened in today's day of trade. And here, let me pull that out for you. We have, with respect to what's happened today, we have seen a surge in the 9,300 put. As you can see, substantial accumulation there and a lot more writing, considering the fact that we have now moved above the mark of 9,300, which brings me to the question of where the maximum open interest now lies with respect to this series. So as you can see here, because of today's gain, we have seen that maximum OI lie in 9,300, which will serve perhaps as some sort of support. And on the upside, we can look at 9,500. But this is, of course, only on the back of open interest. And as you can imagine, we have also seen an accumulation towards fresh longs in the Nifty futures as well as the Bank Nifty futures. Now, with respect to what's happened today, ICICI Bank is the biggest gainer in today's day of trade when it comes to the Nifty. And let me address some of those movers. So we have seen gains in ICICI Bank, which is up 9.2%. Grasim Industries up nearly 4%. Adani Ports, Axis Bank, Bank of Baroda, State Bank of India, all belonging to the Bank Nifty, have gained substantially. On the losing end, we have some weakness in Hindalco, Tata Motors and HCL Technologies all losing out anywhere over a little over 2%, with Indian Oil and IndusInd Bank following. But on the whole, it's been a good day of trade, and from these we have banks which have gained substantially. So Hemen, I'm going to ask you about ICICI Bank, which is closed at around 297.8 today. It's gained 9%. What is your view here?
Weeks of consolidation, Agam. The trigger is obviously provided by the results. So honestly speaking, 295 was the weekly resistance level, which we haven't overcome at least in the last 6 to 8 weeks, if I remember correctly.
Right.
Okay, we still have one trading session left, but assuming we hold, as of now it looks like, then we are seeing a clean breakout. I think the doors open for 320 and more.
Right. And the other bank which is also leading the index is Axis Bank, and that's closed at around 518.8. That's also up around 3.6%. Where do you see this heading?
Looks brilliant, Agam. I think the level is around 520. if I remember correctly.
Right.
It's a flat pattern on the weekly chart. I think it can in fact do better than ICICI Bank on pure technicals.
Right.
Looks great. It's on the cusp of a breakout. I think that breakout should formally come in tomorrow.
Okay.
At the risk of sounding overly optimistic, I think a 10-15% move in the next 4 to 6 weeks cannot be ruled out.
Okay. So that's as far as the large caps go. Let's address the mid caps now. And for that, I'm going to pull out the Nifty 500 index for you. Firstly, when it comes to the market breadth, we're looking at one gainer for one loser. And in the gainers, we have Chambal Fertilizers leading the gains, up is nearly 12%. And it's followed by Sudarshan Chemicals. Now, comfortably above the mark of 400, it is also up 11%. We have IOB, Vigard Industries, and Coromandel International, along with Motilal Oswal Financial, all gaining well over 7%. So clearly, today in the mid-cap space too, it's the fertilizer banks and the banks, the fertilizer companies and the banks which have been doing very well. Moving on to some of the losers, we have seen weakness in Ballarpur Industries. As you can see here, it's down as much as 6.4%. Intellect Design Arena, Religare Enterprises, Shilpi Cable Technologies, as well as Hathway Cable losing out. Shilpi Cable Technologies has lost 5% again today, so it's continued its losses and it's added to losses. And we've also had some weakness in Cyient, down as much as 3.6%. But speaking of mid caps, Hemen, you do have a call on IRB Infra, which closed at 263.8 today. Your view?
If one takes a slightly longer term view, Agam, last 2.5 years, it's been in a large range between 197 and approximately 276.
Right.
Give or take 5-7 rupees. The monthly mechanical indicators have turned positive, Agam. Stock looks sound. It's made a base. It's on the verge of breaking out. The monthly MACD stochastic are in buy mode. The weekly picture is positive. Even the quarterly charts are suggesting an upward breakout. So we haven't yet broken out, but there's a high probability that this will happen.
Right.
Once this happens, we are looking at 310 or more. Stock looks brilliant, simply because it's taken so long to consolidate. It will not, turn turtle in a hurry. I think it will remain positive for the next few months, in fact.
And you were also mentioning Kerala Healthcare, which has closed at 557.8 today.
Slightly similar, but not as big a consolidation as in IRV. We spent 2.5 months in a range between roughly 525 and on the upside we've been 65.
Right.
So we're at 57 right now.
Right.
And once again the indicators have turned. I think the daily MACD is just given a buy today. So the logic is that the upward breakout is at hand, and if that happens, we're looking at a possible 8% upside above 65.
There you have it. You can keep an eye on IRB Infra as well as Kerala Healthcare, at least as far as the broader markets go. But we are also keeping an eye on Eicher Motors and Apollo Tyres, which will be announcing their numbers tomorrow. But that is all that we have for today with respect to what's happened in the markets. Stay tuned in the BloombergQuint, and we will see you tomorrow.